This past week has been a tough week in the life of our church. A very beloved member of our church named Becky passed away this past week after being in intensive care for 3 weeks. She was retired. She had a heart attack about a little over 3 weeks ago, just after she'd worked out at the YMCA. This was a fit person. She ate well. She took care of herself, and she went into intensive care, and she had the heart attack. She had open heart surgery. They had to amputate her leg. Then her kidney shut down, had to put her on dialysis. Most of the time she was in intensive care. She was out of it. She had a breathing tube, and they were trying to keep her comfortable. And it's been a hard week for our church family. It's been a hard week for Becky's family, and we've really struggled with that. On top of that, for most of Becky's life, she took care of her husband, Gary, who she loved so much. And they had beautiful children and grandchildren and so many friends. And Gary was confined to a wheelchair for most of his life. And Becky really cared for him and was a caregiver. And she didn't mind doing that. But being a caregiver, it can wear you out. And so Gary passed away just about 9 months ago. And Becky, for the first time, was able to begin to travel and go see some family who live overseas and just really starting to do some new things in her life. And so the news about Becky being in the hospital in intensive care and having her leg amputated, all that kind of stuff has just, it has rocked our congregation. She passed away this past week, rocked our congregation. And to be honest with you, there's a part of me that didn't want to come to worship today. Because I'm just mad. I'm upset. The last person in the world who deserved that was Becky. I'm like, God, can you give her a break, right? This woman has stood by her husband. She's been such a pillar in the community. She and her friend Marcia, like they're co-leaders of the hospitality ministry of the church. Like, God, please just give this family, give Becky a break, right? And she passed away. And like, there's a part of me just, I don't have it in me to go to church and lead worship today. But there's a part of me that said, I can't wait to get to worship because I am so hungry. I'm so thirsty for God. I don't understand this, but I need God more than ever. I need to be with my brothers and my sisters who are hurting, who are missing Becky, and we need to worship God. And we need to not just worship God, we need to give God thanks, to say thank you for Becky. Thank you for giving her a long life. She lived life to the full. She water skied, and she was a great mom, and she was a great grandmother. She has all these friends. She raised all these kids that were friends of her kids. And man, she lived life to the full. And now she's in heaven with Gary, and they're walking around, they're running around there with Jesus. They're worshiping God, right? Thank you, God, for putting Becky in our lives. Thank you, God, for our church family. The church family that worships together, guess where they were? They were at the hospital. Right? It was limited access to Becky in intensive care, but you guys were there. You were bringing food to the family. We were praying. You were writing Becky letters, and the family was reading those letters to Becky. We were on Carrying Bridge together, right? We worship together, but we also do life together. And it was a beautiful thing. And we need to be here to worship today. I was starving for it. I was thirsting for it, right? One of my best memories of Becky was one of the last things that she ever said to me was in a worship service. And Pastor Lindsay was preaching that Sunday. And so I had the opportunity to sit out in the congregation where you are. And I ended up sitting with Marcia and with Becky. And it was in this service. And, during the songs, I'm singing my guts out. And I can't sing for a lick, right? I'm just singing my guts out. I'm sitting next to Becky. And afterwards, she turns over. She's like, Pastor Kyle, you're better than advertised. And Becky's not a liar, right? But just to have the support, she's that much of an encourager, right? It brings me joy to come here today and to worship God, knowing that Becky's worshiping with God in the full kingdom of heaven, right?